to this year's Eparchial Sobor, called by our dear Vladika, Bishop Benedict, pursuant to canon law and the particular law of our Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. A few housekeeping matters before we begin. Everybody, if you are not muted already, please mute yourselves. And secondly, if you parish feed, please rename yourself as the name of your parish, so that when we get to the third phase of today's session, we can call upon you for your comments. So again, I still see some who are not muted. So everybody, please mute yourselves, and please rename if you are the main parish feed for your parish, please rename yourself as your parish. All right. Let us begin with a prayer. Amen. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly King, Advocate, Spirit of truth, who are everywhere present and fill all things, treasury of blessings, bestower of life, come and dwell within us, cleanse us of all that defiles us, and, O good one, save our souls. Слава Отцю і Сину і Святому Духові, і нині повсякчас і на віки віків. Амінь. Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Преосвященний Владико, благослови.
Боже, благослови всіх нас, і церкв наш Єпархіальний собор, бо ти святий завжди, нині повсякчас, і на віки віків.
Амінь. Господа. Okay, so once again, welcome one and all. It is a pleasure to see so many familiar and perhaps not so familiar faces on the screens. Just a quick run through of how this Eparchial Sobor is structured. This is the first of 3 sessions, and the name of the Sobor is our parishes yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Today we will be focusing on yesterday. In a few weeks, Saturday, November 4th, we will be focusing on our parishes today. And then finally on December 9th, the Feast of the Conception of St. Anne, for all of us, thank God, will be our parishes in the future, looking forward. All sessions begin at 12 noon Central Time. Within each session, we will have 3 phases. The first phase will be a presentation. The second phase will be parishes discussing their impressions, their responses, their thoughts about each of the presentations, what had, and today specifically, we're focusing upon our history and our past. Пане Богдане, ви вилучили, тепер мене ніхто не бачить. Okay, that's good. We will ask each parish to A, answer some questions, but B, in general, comment on what has worked for them in the past and what may not have worked for them in the past. And we will do that for 3 minutes. So again, 3 phases. 1, a presentation. 2, parishes talk amongst themselves. And 3, we reconvene and each parish reports for 3 or 4 minutes. And we unfortunately will have to keep some pretty strict time limits, because if we don't, this session could last until Thursday. So with that, Vladiko, будь ласка, some opening remarks, if you would.
Дякую. Thank you very much. Я скажу декілька слів і українською, і англійською. I will say a few words in Ukrainian and English too. Найперше, це є дуже неймовірно важливо, що ми зустрічаємося разом. Знаєте, Наша єпархія величезна. Важливо зустрічатися, бо ми є плодом зустрічів, які є в житті. І ми після цього собору будемо інакші, чим ми після нього. Ніхто є ізольований. Тому дуже важливо, що ми зустрічались, спілкувались, а найбільше слухали один одного. Може, не стільки говорили, але попробували почути, що Бог мені хоче сказати через інших осіб на соборі. I want to welcome all of you today to the first of three gathering of our Eparchial Sobor. This is primarily a way for parishes, clergy, and lay people to get to know a little bit about our very huge eparchy, what I have told, that stretch from Michigan to Texas to Hawaii. We have new priests join us and even several new parishes and missions as we cherish the older parishes, big and small, throughout the eparchy. There is absolutely no secret about agenda here. It is a voyage of discover our eparchy. Nobody should fear that we are out to close smaller or older parishes like some Roman Rite dioceses do. We love you as you are, big, small, and medium too.
I clicked on the
As a
link.
matter of fact, there is thing you just can do in big parish that you can do in the little ones. We are looking to close our biggest parish either. It's a joke, really. I said there is no agenda but to discover and rediscover this wonderful our eparchy. I have been visiting throughout the eparchy, and I can tell you that no two parishes are completely the same, and no two parishes are total difference either. So let's get to know each other. If you think you know our whole eparchy, you might just be surprised. I wish we could all get together, every parish and every parishioners, in one place together. But that would be more expensive than sending Elon Musk to Mars. So we are going to do it through our Zoom. I hope you will be informed, inspired, so as to look forward to more such experience. God bless all of us.
Щиро дякуємо, Преосвященний Владико. Дякую. Thank you very much to our
Right,
dear
I'm
bishop.
not here.
There is someone who is not on mute. Please mute yourselves.
Rename according parish.
And then, yes, and then once again, if you have not done so already, please rename, if you are the main
I'm
parish
correct.
I
feed,
can't hear.
if you are the main parish feed, please rename yourselves as the name of your parish. All right, so okay, Saint Constantine, you are not muted. Please mute yourself. Thank you. All right, so without further ado, our presenter today is Father Martin Nagy. He is the pastor of our two parishes in North Dakota, St. Demetrius in Fairfield and St. John the Baptist in Belfield. Marty, thank you very much for your hard work in preparing your presentation today. And the floor, so to speak, is yours.
Vitayamo, welcome everyone to our first Sobor. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay,
Okay, we see it.
okay, very good. All right, well, let's just start here. So we look to have God open our eyes to see and better perceive how he's been at work in our parishes. Psalm 127 tells us, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. So as Vladika was saying, every parish in our eparchy is unique, and your parish exists because God himself wants it to. He inspired you or a previous generation to start it. And God and the parishioners, you or your parishioners, or your predecessors work together to plant, build, and grow your parish. So Deacon Ross has already told us about the next gatherings. So God is with you. Each parish works with the Holy Spirit. The eparchy helps. It's been filling its toolbox with resources and educational opportunities to help parishes become more vibrant in what God calls them to be. So God is with you. Whatever situation you're in, he uses it for your sanctification, to grow your community in love, faith, and hope. So I'll offer some highlights from history of the eparchy and some of the parishes. Not enough time for many details or to mention all the parishes. I apologize if I misrepresent some of the details of your parish or the history. So in our history, we'll see that there is an ebb and flow. Parishes can develop into something different over time. Numbers can increase, decline, rebound, or stay the same. The situation all the time changes, sometimes over a generation, sometimes over a year. As you listen, consider what stays the same in your parish and what has developed. When and why have parishes grown or leveled out? Parish members come and go due to work, migration, economics, and life circumstances. This impacts our communities and our projects. Every parish has challenges. Everyone has dreams, has goals. Many of our parishes have a longer history than our eparchy. Some have just begun in the past year or two. Some experiences are painful, some joyful. See the beauty of our parishes inside and out. Listen for circumstances as I present this that are similar to yours. Reflect on your own parish's challenges and strengths. Why did people come together to begin your parish? What motivated them? What did our predecessors give to us? What did they leave for us to complete? What have we done that we are giving to the next generation? Part of a vibrant parish is outreach to the community. What kind of outreaches has our parishes done over the years? Are there Christmas caroling, outreach to visitors, to immigrants, ecumenical things, food pantries? Churches that have been around a while have seen their ministries change and their churches change. Some parishes saw census increase during immigrations, like the third wave and fourth wave, and maybe there's a fifth wave now as we have people arriving that have been displaced by the Russian invasion. People have fallen in love with the Ukrainian Greco-Catholic Church. Non-Ukrainians, non-Byzantine Christians have joined us. Pope St. John the 23rd erected the eparchy of St. Nicholas in Chicago in 1961. St. Nicholas eparchy includes Michigan, all of the U.S. west of the western boundaries of Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio, and Alaska and Hawaii. Its territory covers 28 states. We have churches in at least 18 of those states. The eparchy began with 35 parishes and missions, 31 priests, including 10 Basilians. In 2000, it had 52 clergy, including Basilian fathers and some monks, 34 parishes and 4 missions. There are now, maybe around 60 priests, and we're getting close to 20 deacons. We're definitely in the mid-teens, and we have more monks and at least 50 parishes and missions. In 1905, St. Nicholas Parish was established. St. Nicholas Ukrainian Catholic Church in Chicago was designated as the new cathedral. When built, St. Nicholas the Wonder Worker was the largest Ukrainian Catholic church in the U.S. So the people there pledged for religious moral goals and to elevate ourselves through the support of a school, a reading room, political clubs, and whatever else is deemed necessary. The first liturgy of the new church was in 1915. The Basilian Fathers moved in 1932 to serve the parish, and at the time they decided to hold one liturgy in English. In 1936, the Basilian Sisters began a school, and in 61, the Basilian Fathers moved out to make way for the new bishop. So in 62, the Basilians moved into Immaculate Conception in Hamtramck, and they renovated the church to traditional Byzantine Ukrainian Catholic Church style. In the early 20th century, the Ukrainians began to move into Detroit. In 1911, St. John the Baptist was founded on the west side. In 1914, Immaculate Conception on the east side. And in 1940, Ukrainians began to flock to Detroit for jobs because Henry Ford announced the $5 per day wage, which was double what it had been. In 1936, the parish established a school based on the Gospels and on Christianity. In 1980, they relocated and expanded those schools. So Pope St. John the 23rd appointed Yaroslav Gabro to be the first bishop of the eparchy. And he was actually born in Chicago, a native son of St. Nicholas Parish. Historically, many of our parishes have had sons and daughters who were ordained or joined monasteries or religious orders. So every bishop of the eparchy has had a way of trying to bring together parishes, and parishes also influenced one another through eparchy-wide conferences. Bishop Yaroslav encouraged religious vocations, promoted spiritual growth to the faithful, supported youth programs, launched an eparchial newspaper, News Star, to communicate information, directives, evangelization to every part of the eparchy. He held eparchial youth conferences and blessed a traveling icon of Our Lady of Pochaev for pilgrimage around the homes at the cathedral parish. In 1964, a controversy erupted in Chicago after St. Nicholas Cathedral announced it was changing from the Julian to Gregorian calendar. A number of parishioners formed a committee to keep the Julian calendar. Patriarch Yosef Slipi, with the consent of Bishop Yaroslav, resolved the conflict by forming a new parish that follows the Julian calendar. In 1968, Saints Volodymyr and Ola was founded and committed to restore and preserve Byzantine theology and liturgy, support the patriarchate, and seek fraternal and ecumenical relations with the Ukrainian Orthodox, and of course observe the same calendar as what was at that time the underground church in Ukraine. From 68 to 72, they held liturgies at the Ukrainian Orthodox Cathedral, and in 1970 they purchased property near the cathedral. In the 1980s, they built the Ukrainian Cultural Center and a parish center that for a while was used by the General Consulate of Ukraine. So Romans 8:28 says, we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. It seemed like a terrible controversy for a while, but God brought good from it. Among other good fruit from the parish, St. Volodymyr and Ola may have helped save the neighborhood around the cathedral. In the late 60s, the cathedral neighborhood in Chicago was becoming less safe on the southern fringe, and the parish attracted people to stay or move there by building the church and rectory and by building residential buildings. Now the neighborhood has gentrified and the property values are high. Bishop Yaroslav died in 1980. Monsignor William Belensky was appointed administrator, and Bishop Innocent was consecrated in 1981. Bishop Innocent had a number of clergy who were retiring and no replacements, so he was facing parishes without pastors. He called for prayers for an increase in priestly and monastic vocations, and the eparchy spiritually and financially supported seminary candidates. Commemorations during his tenure included the 1983 Chicago Youth for Christ rally on the 50th anniversary of the Lviv rally, and people came from all over. The rally held workshops on persecution, ethics, films, future of our church in the diaspora, and a procession and prayer service to commemorate the Holodomor famine. In 1988, there was a Millennium of Christianity in Ukraine commemoration at the cathedral with an overflow crowd. And all of our parishes throughout the eparchy also held celebrations. He resigned in 1993. So Bishop Michael was appointed then. He was born in Canada. But then in 2000, he was appointed Bishop of Saskatoon and served as the administrator of St. Nicholas until a new bishop was appointed. Bishop Michael focused on pastoral, parish, and parishioner issues. He energized church growth, prioritized care for needy, sick, and homebound. And in 1995, he began annual eparchial conferences held in different locations with delegates from all parishes, which focused on administrative, financial, and spiritual stewardship, leadership training for lay people, and the faithful spiritual and evangelistic growth. Bishop Richard was appointed in 2003. He was born in Philadelphia, but his grandparents were from Ukraine, and he died in 2016. Father Richard served as the administrator until a new bishop was appointed. Bishop Richard recommended a 3-year plan to bring St. Nicholas Cathedral School into financial sustainability, and he worked to ensure parishes experiencing substantial economic distress remain open. For the 50th anniversary of the eparchy, there was an eparchial-wide events, including an eparchial conference on evangelization in Chicago. And there was a Jubilee icon written and blessed that traveled to every parish. Clergy retreats were held in cities where we have parishes so that the clergy can support them and get to know our different parishes, which we still do today with Bishop Benedict. Bishop Benedict was appointed bishop in 2017, born in Ukraine. Bishop Benedict and the eparchy have encouraged and assisted parishes to be vibrant parishes through the Mission Institute, which trains deacons, catechists, and cantors for parishes, through Catechetical Commission and the Family Commission, through liturgical commissions and resources that include sending propers that parishes can print so people can sing during the liturgy to them. We have continuing education for clergy every few weeks with helpful training and contribute to growing vibrant parishes and having healthy clergy supporting one another and supported by the eparchy. And there's other programs. Critical challenges to our parishes and individual families and nations during Bishop Benedict's tenure have included the COVID pandemic. The eparchy and parishes have coordinated and encouraged material and spiritual support to Ukrainian people facing Russian aggression. The cathedral and other parishes have welcomed displaced Ukrainian immigrants, and the eparchy has also offered assistance for alcohol addiction. An eparchial endowment to strengthen our parishes has been initiated to provide parishes and missions needing financial assistance. We've enhanced our communications through eparchial websites, Facebook, YouTube, with live stream and recorded liturgies, news from parishes, the eparchy, Mission Institute, the eparchial committees, and spiritual reflections and readings, clergy homilies, questions for the clergy and speakers. Now let's glance at the history of a few of the parishes. Listen for the ebb and flow and the work of the Holy Spirit in these. The Holy Spirit is at work in all our parishes, and the life of every parish has an ebb and flow. In the 1980s, St. Joseph the Betrothed was the third largest Ukrainian parish in the eparchy. Now it's the largest in the US with more baptisms and marriages and people. In the 70s and 80s, third wave immigrants and older children of the first wave immigrants needed to work harder to connect with each other because of cultural differences between the different generations of immigrants. Today, the parishioners are more integrated. Recently, work was done toward completing the iconography, which actually was begun more than 25 years ago. And in the 70s and 80s, St. Joseph held a popular 7-day carnival each year that earned a significant income. Now their well-attended October Fest lasts the weekend and still takes a lot of work. A number of parishes have Ukrainian festivals, sharing our food or culture. These connect young people to the parish and one another, and also draws in other people, offering opportunities for fellowship with people in and out of the community, and for fundraising, evangelization, and celebration. I've heard about the dance festivals at parishes like Nativity in Springfield, Oregon. And for decades, the community where I am in North Dakota had a Ukrainian dance festival each year with workshops and food. Several of my parishioners have told me that Ukrainian dancing was one of the most memorable parts of their childhood. Unfortunately, COVID killed it, and the people who organized it for decades haven't had time or energy to start it again from a dead stop. Recently, though, a few of the younger adults started looking into reviving it. Some parishes have diverse populations with non-Ukrainian Americans who have fallen in love with the Byzantine liturgy. A number of non-Ukrainians joined St. Michael in Tucson. And at Nativity, the Mother of God in Springfield, Oregon, ethnic Ukrainians are the minority. Father Richard said these parishioners from different backgrounds continue to sing Hospody Pomiloi, Bake Pascha, decorate Pazanki, and dance in our Ukrainian Veselka. In missions such as St. Luke and Cody, St. Andrew in Fort Wayne, Saints Peter and Paul in Kalispell, especially have attracted people to join from non-Ukrainian heritages, and a number from different faith backgrounds, including from the Orthodox, Roman Catholic, Protestant, and other Catholic traditions. Many parishioners have seen the demographics change around them, either recently or a generation or two ago, as people moved away from their area. For example, selling their land and moving to town or to another state, as happened over the last few generations at St. Demetrius in Belfield, as people left the farms and sold their farms. Or non-Christians have replaced the Christians of former generations, such as in Dearborn, where St. Michael Parish is. Some parishes are waiting for church numbers to rebound. Others, such as Immaculate Conception in Palatine, have had to expand their church. Some parishes were affected by more global factors, such as COVID or the 2008 financial and housing crisis. Some parishes, such as St. John in Detroit or St. Constantine in Minneapolis or St. Nicholas, the cathedral, have needed restoration to their beautiful older churches. Some need to build new churches, such as St. John the Baptizer in San Diego. And for years, St. Michael in Tucson met in a small chapel in a home. About a dozen years ago, it purchased a former Antiochian Orthodox church. And for their first church, St. Josaphat in Munster, Indiana, just converted a house and added 3 steeples to the roof. Later, they built a church, but without finishing it at first. They worshiped in it, finishing the church over several years, bit by bit as they could, adding an iconostasis, chandeliers, side icons. Some don't have a dedicated space, but rent or borrow another building. St. Andrew the First Called in Fort Wayne meets in a high chapel and has had to change locations a few times over the past decade. St. Luke in Cody, Wyoming, and Saints Peter and Paul in Kalispell, Montana, have been growing quickly, but still use temporary spaces. But thank God for temporary spaces, but they do have challenges. Saints Peter and Paul meets at a Roman Catholic parish, and the only time available is mid-afternoon on Sundays. Parishes that share one priest have sometimes had challenges of inconvenient service times or missing some of the services for feasts, such as during Nativity or during Holy Week. Church, though, is where the people gather. Thank God we can worship and fellowship together, whether it's in our own building, a temporary space, or even a bomb shelter, as some of our brothers and sisters have done in Ukraine. For some parishes, the liturgy in Ukrainian connects those who have grown up worshiping in Ukrainian and welcomes recent immigrants, giving them a comfort of praying in their native tongue. Some parishes, the liturgy is in English. Americans discovering the Byzantine liturgy and the grandchildren of immigrants who speak only English feel at home worshiping in English. Some parishes have both English and Ukrainian liturgies. And some have one liturgy that uses both languages. For example, St. Michael in Grand Rapids says, our church is made up of cradle Ukrainian Catholics and converts from every background who love the gospel in the context of our liturgical and spiritual tradition. Our liturgy is in English, but we retain the Ukrainian language in a few parts, a link with our past. The liturgy speaks on a symbolic level, which supersedes language. Some churches started with priests, such as St. Michael's in Clovis, Fresno area. St. Greg moved there, taking a teaching position in the area, and he and his wife, Melita, and the parishioners worked together over the past 10 years to build a thriving parish with beautiful divine liturgies, vespers, and matins. Father Daniel and his wife, Ann, started St. Peter's and Paul in Kalispell, Montana, and it's been growing with energy and people over the past couple of years. St. Luke's in Cody has also grown over the last couple of years, but they were started by a dedicated group of parishioners who invited priests to come and serve on the weekends. Their first priest has been inside there, and Father Roman and his family will move there at the end of the year. Some parishes have faced an unimaginable tragedy together. In Tucson, one of St. Michael's beloved acolytes, 9-year-old Edward Laterre, was killed and hit by a car, and his brother Maximilian was severely injured. And the pastor of St. Joseph Parish in Chicago, Father Pablo, died suddenly in a bicycling accident, leaving behind his beloved wife and young children and his saddened parishioners. And there's been others over the years. We pray for them and ask them to pray for us. And parishes have also claimed their miracles. One St. Demetrius parishioner reports having been bedridden with a painful back injury on the day he was scheduled to leave on a long-awaited trip to his ancestors' village in Ukraine. He gave up his plans, but his mom came and said a prayer for him, and he believed he was healed. He got up almost immediately, caught his flight, and had a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Ukraine. St. John the Baptist in Detroit, early morning 2001, a fire destroyed the sacristy and roof over the altar. Ready to spread, a kind of miracle happened. The electronic church bells rang when the fire caused an electrical short. Ringing bells woke the neighbors who called the fire department, and the altar, iconostasis, tetrapod, stained glass windows, and rest of the church were saved. Scripture offers advice that seems to me helpful as we bring vitality to our parishes and they revitalize us. St. Paul tells us how best to pray. Love God and love others. He says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for us and for you. Our churches are medicine that has brought healing and vitality, joy and comfort to many over the years. They have only done this because they're God's churches given to us for our health and well-being. This is Jesus's doing. Jesus clearly says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Every church has different circumstances and a different vocation, but some of these are similar. And this is what he's chosen for us, our parish, and those who went before us. If God wanted us to have different circumstances or your particular parish, then he would have given you different circumstances. And circumstances are temporary. God is always giving us something new. The places of struggle are the places where God is teaching us to love and mature. Our beauty blossoms from the weaknesses that we invite God into. Challenges make us grow. Celebrations refresh us. We need this ebb and flow. Thank you. So now, if it's okay with you, Father Deacon Ross, unless you have something else, then we can invite Father Andre. We have a priest, Father Andre, who has lived through a lot in this eparchy and who's agreed to share a little bit of his knowledge and experience with us today. It's a given that not everything and not everyone will be mentioned, but at least we will gain some impression about the ebb and flow of our eparchy's life. Shall I continue, Deacon Ross?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Father Marty, say that again.
Should I continue with Father Andre?
Yes, of course. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So, how much time we got? So maybe let's see how far you can get in about 5 minutes, Father Andre. It's a long question, but please tell us when and where and by whom were you ordained and began serving in our eparchy. What parishes did you serve? Have you noticed changes in the parishes which you served? Briefly, but specifically, comment about changes in demographics and faith backgrounds of members, people who joined through marriage as well as converts, people who drifted away for various reasons, as well as new migrations from Ukraine. I realize that there are a lot of questions right there, and you have worked in parishes large, medium, and quite small, in addition to your university teaching in the Eastern Christian theology, spirituality at the Sheptytsky Institute in the last 44 years. So, so let's try about 5 minutes and see what you can share with us. And unmute yourself.
Thank you, Father Marty, and thank you for that excellent presentation, which I'm sure will be on our eparchial website for all those who are interested in getting it. I noticed people were asking for it. So I was ordained a deacon just a couple of days after we got married in June of 1979. And I was ordained a priest in 1980 by Patriarch Joseph, Cardinal Slipi, in Castel Gandolfo at our Studion monastery there. And it had to be in secret because at the time, there was a prohibition against ordaining married men in North America or for North America. So I was ordained for the Archeparchy of Lviv, but I couldn't go there because those were Brezhnev years. And so I was loaned temporarily for a period of 50, 60 years to North America. First to the Eparchy of Toronto, which then loaned me to the Eparchy of Chicago. So Lviv, Toronto, Chicago, just call me hand-me-down Rose. And it was at St. Vladimir and Olha Parish that I began my diaconal service. And I was deacon when Bishop Yaroslav Gabra made his first visitation of the parish. And so between its founding in 1968 and 1980, the bishop had never been there, even though he's 2 blocks away. And Chicago Avenue was the demilitarized zone between St. Nicholas Cathedral and St. Vladimir and Olha. Today, those two parishes get along much better. And things have changed. A lot of the animosity has been forgotten. Thanks be to God. Later, I served at St. Joseph Parish in Chicago, and it was a very different parish from what it is now. There were still a lot of the children and grandchildren of the first wave immigrants. And then it was like two parishes in one, because there was the third wave and then the descendants of the first wave. And those two groups had not that much in common. Also, there was a lot of conflict in the parish because that's the way that they had been nurtured in conflict, actually. Today, it's a completely different story. St. Joseph's is a completely different parish from what it was. I put in some of the iconography there, the chandelier. We started, and they're continuing. From there, I went to Immaculate Conception in Palatine, which was this little parish, and it was very difficult to see how it could grow. But today it's exploding in growth. Then it was almost entirely third wave. Now, I think they have a preponderance of fourth wave, perhaps also fifth wave, which is what we're beginning to call our war refugees. From Palatine, I went into full time service back in the Toronto Eparchy for 12 years as we developed the Metropolitan Andrei Sheptytsky Institute of Eastern Christian Studies there. And that was a place where a lot of non-Ukrainians were very attracted to our church. In previous places, non-Ukrainians came in mostly through marriage. But then we began to see non-Ukrainians coming through love of our church. I know that back in 20, 30 years ago, we had several parishes that had a lot of Tridentine Roman Catholics who rejected the Second Vatican Council, and they were often very, very generous, but they had a completely different spiritual outlook. And so that sometimes caused problems, but at the same time, they supported parishes in their struggling years. And one of those was in San Diego, where today they probably have nobody from that group, but they have a growing parish, a younger priest with great success, and they're going to be building a church. When I came back from Canada, we settled in Tempe, and I spent a year helping Father Hugo Sotus in our Phoenix parish, Dormition of the Mother of God. And that was a blessed time. Later on, Bishop Richard Seminac appointed me pastor in Tucson. And I didn't want to be pastor of a parish. I was working full-time with the Sheptytsky Institute, mostly through video conference, but I would go there like 4 times a year or 5 times a year. And but Bishop Richard asked to go there for like 4 weeks. Well, that turned into 12 and a half years. My health declined, and well, Tucson was actually a great blessing. I didn't want to go to Tucson, but it was a great blessing. And that parish really came alive. It had problems earlier, and it came alive. And one of the things that I loved most about St. Michael's Parish was the fact that people really took ownership. I mean, they were really proactive parishioners, and they wouldn't ask me for permission to do something. They just go ahead and do it. And I would find out, oh, somebody has repainted the icons on the iconostas, or somebody's taken some initiative, very initiative-minded parishioners. But the best thing was, every Sunday after Divine Liturgy, we had a full meal, not coffee and donuts, a full meal, a hot meal. And that really cemented the parish. Small parish, but we used to call it the little parish that could. And St. Michael's in Tucson will always stay in my heart, as Saint Swolodimber Noiha, St. Joseph, Immaculate Conception, St. John the Baptist Shrine in Ottawa, and all the places that I serve. Today, I am pastor of a micro church. You've heard of these Protestant mega churches. Well, in Flagstaff, Arizona, we have a micro church. It's a tiny group of people. We have refugees from Ukraine. We have people who were born here. We have a selection of people, and people who are rediscovering their connection with our church, who perhaps grew up in our church, but then lost touch with it and now are coming back. This is a mission that was started by Father Hugo Sotos from Phoenix, and he used to come up to Flagstaff for many years. And then the parish kind of, the mission receded, and 9 years later, I show up because my son and his family live here, and my health had not allowed me to further develop St. Michael's in Tucson. So since we're here, I said, well, let's start up that mission that Father Hugo had created so many years ago under Bishop Richard, and or perhaps earlier under Bishop Michael. And so every Sunday we have to set up and then tear down everything, all of our liturgical appurtenances. Things do ebb and flow, as Father Marty put it. And sometimes new things happen that never occurred in a parish before. Like in St. Michael's, we started doing Liturgy of Presanctified Gifts during Lent. When I first got there and asked, how many people have heard of Liturgy of Presanctified Gifts? One man and my wife were the only two who raised their hands. I said, wow. And we started. And then later, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So new things can happen. And it was amazing how generous the parishioners were, and turned this church with blank walls into a very warm place by completely remodeling. We had Mr. Bogdan Goinich, who was a master carpenter and contractor who completely redid things. It was every parish that I've been at has seen ups and downs, ebb and flow. And what does that mean? That even when we think that our parishes are having a hard time, God is planning something just around the next corner. And very often, those are very pleasant surprises, especially when we're having a hard time. Something good is just around the corner. Because as Father Marty emphasized, that passage from Romans 8:28, God makes all things work unto the good for those who love him. And who's that? That's all of us. We don't love him perfectly, but we're trying. And he makes all things work unto the good for us.
Very good. You want to try to tackle another question in just a couple of minutes?
Okay.
Where have you seen changes to language and culture, liturgical, sacramental life, art, and liturgical furnishings of churches, or perhaps other elements? What factors do you think might have influenced or motivated churches to change or not to change in certain things?
Well, demographics always have a part to play. So you have an all-Ukrainian parish, and suddenly you have either the children of immigrants or the grandchildren of immigrants, or you have non-Ukrainian persons joining, need to institute more English. Sometimes things change towards more Ukrainian because of the influx of people. And liturgically, well, we've had a slow rediscovery of the fullness of our tradition. There was a time when it was a rare parish that had our Lenten services the way they're supposed to be in our own tradition. And what people were doing was borrowing from the Latin rite, doing Stations of the Cross, but forgot our traditions of liturgy for sanctified gifts, this Akathist Saturday, and things like the canon of Saint Andrew the Great. But in a number of parishes, those things have come back. Sometimes the singers, get sicker and older, and it's harder for them to do some of these more complicated services. So some have to temporarily cut back a little bit. A great influence on our liturgical life was when we got into a contact with our church in Ukraine. We hadn't had contact with them because they were underground. And from 1989, suddenly we had contact. And suddenly what happens? You see appearing in our parishes the 7 branch candelabras. You see appearing in some of our parishes the veil behind the iconostas royal doors that wasn't there because people thought that wasn't Catholic. But suddenly we realized that in Ukraine they have that, so we have to do that. And then Repide showed up behind the altar, the holy table. It's just interesting to see how we thought we were helping Ukraine, but then Ukraine started helping us, especially through the priests. We have so many priests from Ukraine today. When I was ordained, I was the only young married priest. It was all celibates in this eparchy. Now, it's hard to find the few celibates that we have. The majority are married clergy, just like Ukraine. And the new parishioners who came from Ukraine, they would ask for certain things that maybe we didn't do earlier, like all commemorating all both the living and the dead in long list of names at liturgies in some parishes, because the people were used to that from Ukraine. And one thing that has always been a problem, every generation, every one of the 5 waves always thinks, well, we are not going to allow our children to undergo assimilation into, and then lose, be lost to us. But unfortunately, none of the 5, well, we'll see about wave number 5, but none of the waves has been immune to that problem. Some of our people, their children just decide they don't want to be ethnic. They want to be just Americans. And we lose some of them. Some of them stay and influence the future of their parish, but some drift away. And I would say that's perhaps not anyone's fault in particular. It just happens. We're here in this country. We can't expect that everybody's going to marry Ukrainians and keep Ukrainian language alive. That would be very interesting, but it's not going to happen. And it'll happen in some cases. And we'll thank God for that. And in some cases, we'll thank God for the fact that we have, through marriage, new blood and new ideas and new energy coming from non-Ukrainians in our church. Converts come and they let us see things in a different way. In Tucson, we had an Anglican couple. She was an Anglican priest for many years, for 30 years or more. And the 2 of them joined the parish, and they soaked up everything. But then COVID happened, and they couldn't come anymore. So new people come. Now there are people from the 5th wave. It's amazing how God is always doing something in our eparchy. One place gets a little weaker, another place gets stronger. It's amazing.
Thank you, Father. And clearly, I think we can see from what you said that God truly is at work in the eparchy at large, the individual parishes, confirming that He's always there in the ebb and flow and from generation to generation. So now let me share my screen, and we will present some questions for the parishes to reflect on. Let's see here. Okay, so now each parish will focus on an aspect of their history. Find just one point to discuss and stay on, because you're only going to have about 3 minutes to share. But consider how God
I'm
has...
sorry, Father Marty, if you're trying to share your screen, we can't see it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Much better.
All right. All right, then. So reflect on your story, your challenges and strengths and growth. And if you can come up with your own point or question, that's okay, or 2. But you can pick from one of these points, and then how have ways to communicate information changed in your parish? How have changes in communication affected your parish? Or what parishioners are you liked or been excited about?
Excuse me, Father
What
Marty, again, David Voloshin, please mute yourself.
what changes have you liked? Did your parish have a strategy to make these changes happen, or was it just God or circumstance? What traditions or activities did your parish used to do that it doesn't anymore, or do that it did not used to do, like prayers, liturgies, Ukrainian dancing, or festivals? How has this affected the parish? Or where or in what way did you see God at work in your parish in history or more recently? Or how can changes in demographics affected your parish, like language, census numbers, income, education? How has immigration affected your parish, or how did COVID affect your parish? So you can choose from one of those, or if you have something else that is particular to your parish that you want to bring up and discuss, do that. But stick to one point because you'll only have 3 minutes, and we can keep these questions on screen as you go. And we'll let Deacon Ross close us out here and give us some further instructions.
But if either Father Marty or Deacon Rostislav, if parishes are not together, like our parish cannot be together because my wife has COVID, how do we have that conversation?
Я можу зараз попробувати розбити на групи, де кожен може вибрати свою групу. Наприклад, ваша жінка може вибрати вас. Тобто кожен парафіянин може вибрати своїх. Я попробую. Я це не пробував, але я зараз попробую це зробити.
Okay, Father Roman is going to try to get us to have breakout groups for those parishes that are not all in one place. So what you should do then is try to connect with your pastor, your priest, and those will be the breakout rooms.
And otherwise, the ahead of time requests were that if a parish cannot be physically together, then they set up their own Zoom. So that if for those of you who have that set up, feel free to use that. But otherwise, yes, please communicate with Father Roman, and he'll help you out if you need.
Okay. Also in chat, you can see our questions.
Right. So we'll leave the questions up. So it is 2 minutes past 1 Chicago time. You know how the Trans-Siberian Railroad always ran on Moscow time? I think we're running on Chicago. We run on Chicago time here. So okay, so it is a couple minutes after 1. How about Vladeko Hibaskashte, how about each parish take 40 minutes to discuss one of these questions among themselves? And as we mentioned, part 3 of our first session will be each parish will have 3 maximum 4 minutes to give an answer and some thoughts on all of these questions. So again, unless Vladika says otherwise, why don't we plan on reconvening at, let's say, 1:45 Central Time? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I try to create breakout rooms, and please let me know if is it work.
Okay. Дякую.
So please repeat when we get together again.
1:45 Central Time. So in 40 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. So Flagstaff people, maybe I don't see how we could do a breakout room. Чи є якийсь спосіб, отче Романе?
Зараз я дивлюся.
We'll do our own Zoom and then we'll come back to this one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
On the bottom row, there's a breakout room icon. And we should be able to do it through that one.
40 minutes.
There are different rooms. If you click that on, And then you just have to, we have to parcel out who's going to be joining which rooms.
I created
Father
30
Mike-
rooms.
Yeah, so can you assign people to the room so that
No,
so if you go to the lower ribbon, you see breakout rooms, when you click on it, but we need to know who's going to be assigned to which rooms.
I don't have that button.
Yeah, neither do I.
Exit out of full screen mode, and then you'll see it on the bottom.
Okay.
Not there. There is the more button, 3 dots, Brother Andre. So if you click on that, there is the option to select join breakout room.
So we just need an assignment. So Flagstaff, why don't we try room number 1, and then everybody else can assign themselves to different rooms. Father Andre?
Okay.
Can't figure it out.
So if you and I go into join room 1, I'll find you in there.
Father Martin?
Yes, are we back?
Yes, we're back. Please include Cody also.
Pardon me? You want me to stop sharing my screen?
I see.
Okay, so it is,
Maybe it's good when you will stop sharing your screen. It's okay. Thank you, Father.
Бачу, що не всі повернулися, бо є тільки 49, було 70. Може ще 2 хвилини зачекати.
because
Maybe
that is
I'm
a
waiting for a short time. Maybe 2-3 minutes, not longer.
All right, so yeah, it's 1:46 and in
1:50.
typical Ukrainian fashion. Yeah.
Yes, 1:50 we will start.
Okay, Cathedral Week came back.
Saint Andrew the Apostle is back with you as well.
Cody is here.
St. Constantine, Minneapolis, Minnesota here. We are ready.
St. John the Baptist is here also.
Okay,
You're ready.
here, my friend, have patience.
St. Mary's Assumption in St. Louis is ready also.
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
the Episcopal Health Church is ready to.
Holy Wisdom in Citrus Heights, California, we're ready.
St. Joe's of Chicago, we're ready.
Hey, Deacon, we can go. We can start.
Okay, dobre. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a good discussion. Once again, please, if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. I see a few people who do not have the mute icon, so please be sure to mute yourself. A special welcome, Lodica reminded me during the parish discussion, a special welcome to our students of the Mission Institute who are participating in the Sobor as observers. I myself am a proud alum of the Mission Institute, out of which a lot of new leaders in our eparchy have been formed. So welcome one and all. Without further ado, let us move forward to parish responses and thoughts following Father Marty's presentation and questions. And since there's probably no perfect way to do this, I am just going to go by and call upon individual parishes the way you appear on my screen. So this is going to be random so that nobody is offended or nobody thinks that I'm putting anybody before anybody else. I'm just going to go how you appear on my screen. And once again, if you are not, if you have not renamed yourself as your parish, then please do so. So as we move along, everybody can be recognized as such. I am setting my timer for 4 minutes, and the first parish on my screen is St. Michael's of Dearborn in Dearborn, Michigan. So please unmute yourself, and your 4 minutes starts now. Okay.
Well, it's like sitting in the front of the church, getting called on right away. We at one time, I guess I'm gonna put it that, because we're decided to fall on yeah, because that our understanding this discussion was yesterday. And then what we could talk about today and then tomorrow at the future meetings. We at St. Michael's were a very vibrant church. The church was in the 60s.
Excuse me, timeout. I'm sorry. Lasha's iPhone, please mute yourself.
Okay.
The second reason, which is more common, is the information is there. It's pieces of the puzzle are evident, but you're not putting in potential bias.
Lasha's iPhone, please mute yourself.
Give me a minute.
October, the State Department pushed through aid to Palestinian territories, including Gaza.
Okay, Yakuyu. All right, St. Michael, please.
We're a very vibrant church. We had ebbs and flows, everything else. In the 90s period, can't get it out. Renovate. I couldn't get the word out there. The interior of the church, Father Wayne had a conostas, quite a bit of work there. made the local papers for that. We had Ukrainian dancing, Mardi parties. We had a weekend festivals where we would actually rent out the local ice arena here for, 3 days, Friday night through Sunday. We had Mardi Gras parties, active, very, very active children's program. The children did skits for Christmas and Easter, and then during the year, some of the major holy days, they would dress up and do that. Full catechism classes. We had Halloween parties where we dressed up as, saints and things like that. And we had 2 parking lots at the parish that were being used. We had Pascha sale. We had English and Ukrainian services. And let's say good and bad with that. You had the Ukrainians that would attend the Ukrainian service and English-speaking people that would attend the English services. And I was one of the English group, even though I couldn't say renovation earlier today. But it was good that we people, the two cultures, I'd say, or even though we were all Ukrainian, there wasn't a lot of interaction between the two groups. You had the Ukrainian people that did the Ukrainian, the English did the English. Even at the festivals, people kind of stayed away from each other. I don't think this was anything that's really unique with St. Michael's. I think it's just human nature in general. And then with the decline of I'll say the Catholic Christianity in the Detroit area, and I'm sure it's going on in the United States, and that we started losing some parishioners, and we decided have service because both services were not fully occupied, and the church wasn't fully occupied. And I think that was probably one of the best things that could have happened, out of a bad situation that we were losing people, yet good came out of it because we split the service was both in English and Ukrainian, and it brought the two groups together.
Okay,
I know
if we can wrap up, please.
Okay. Yeah, then where we're getting into today is that our parish was directed to have a mission church, and at the time we were like, I'd say we were the hub of a spoked wheel where you had all different people from different areas in the Detroit metropolitan were coming to our church, and people saw that we were directed to go out west, and the spokes started breaking off, and people that established their new homes, and let's say probably Latin as well as the Ukrainian churches. And when this was going on, the economy tanked and caused some financial stress, which really has caused some separation within our community today. So that's where we're at today.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Next, we have on my screen, we go to what I believe is now the largest parish in our eparchy, St. Joseph the Betrothed. So I see Father Bohdan, I see Father Protodeacon Marco approaching the screen. Please unmute yourself and your 3-minute, and Father McCullough's there as well. Vitajmo Oče, and your 3 minutes starts now.
Slava Christu. So the question we decided to answer is the 6th one about demographics and how the parish, is growing. One of the main causes of the growth of our parish is, number one, many people settling in the area of northwest side of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. Due to the high cost of living in the Ukrainian village, many have decided to move to this area. Many had no idea at certain times in our history that our church was actually a Ukrainian church. So we we offered more services. We established many cultural organizations, such as Renewed the Dance Group, Boive Hopak, which is like a martial art, children's choir for the parish, American Ukrainian Youth Association. So many of the cultural aspects that you would get in Ukrainian Village in Chicago, we basically reestablished here on the Northwest Side. How do we add God to all this? Everything begins and ends with church and prayer. So Ukrainian school begins the year with a molebin for the children. Boive Hopak, the martial arts begin with the prayer because they follow the Kozak traditions. So those are just some examples. There's not much that I could add to what Father Marty had presented because he touched a little bit about our parish, about our history, and a little bit about what is going on now. But besides the fact that historically St. Joseph was a bilingual parish, also was a parish that before the eparchy even changed the Gregorian calendar, already celebrated a feast on the Gregorian calendar. So over time, with more influx, with the influx of immigrants, the different waves of immigration, there was a pastoral need for the parish to celebrate on both calendars. And now with the grace of God, we're happy to be on one calendar finally. We could actually finally, after all these years, celebrate our feast days as one big happy family, one parish family. So in short, just to sum up, a lot of the growth in our parish is due to people simply moving out towards our area and also being open to all. Our parish is known as the welcoming parish. We welcome everybody. Cradle, Ukrainian Catholics, even Orthodox. We have Orthodox people who come, especially after the war, because of how close we are to the Russian Orthodox Cathedral. And after the war, they decided they need to go to a Ukrainian church. And also neighborhood people. We have people from the Syro-Malabar tradition who come to our church. We have people from the Roman Catholic tradition who come to our church. They feel welcome. So in short, it's all about making people welcome because we're all there to celebrate and give glory to God. So I'm going to cut it right there. I think that's below 4 minutes. Oh yeah, and one last thing I forgot to mention was our education. So besides Ukrainian school, we have adult catechism, especially for the parents of the children who are preparing for their first confession. Also, we have catechism for the children who are preparing for first confession. We also have a Bible study group. So, and we have multiple students in our mission institute. So along with the cultural, along with educational, along with the faith-based items, especially our liturgical services, we have much to offer and we welcome everybody. So that's our little spiel about the sixth point. Thank you.
Дякую, Отче Протодиаконе, дякую, St. Joseph, the betrothed parish on the Northwest Side. Next on my screen, we go south and a little bit east to St. Josephat. Отче Володимире, я вас бачу. So please unmute yourself and your time begins now.
Слава Ісусу Христу. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm a pastor at St. Josephat Ukrainian Catholic Church in Munster, Indiana. It's a very close proximity to Chicago. This parish was established in 1958 by the same pastor, priest, Father Joseph Sherry, St. Joseph, and the Immaculate Conception in Palatine, mostly by the people who came after World War II and settled here in Indiana, worked in the local manufacturers, metal, steel, and different manufacturers of fabrics. Throughout the year, parish had two liturgies, one in English, another one in Ukrainian, but throughout this time, demographic with parish declined, and the children of this original parishioners either assimilated or moved out or went, some of them, to Roman Catholic churches. So now we have only one liturgy, half English, half Ukrainian, but parish is stable. We have some new Ukrainian families that settled here in Indiana, and they joined parish, some of them 20 years ago, 15, or recent immigrants. The problem is that not many people coming to Indiana because it's too close to Chicago, and new wave of immigration who comes, they want to settle in a larger city like Chicago, where it's more possibility to find work and more possibilities. But we keep our liturgical life, prayer life, and traditions that were established throughout the years, making vareniki, Perohead that helps parish survive, and we also welcome in parish and open for everyone. We have people who join us recently from Roman Catholic churches that who fall in love with the liturgy and the traditions. So we're hopeful and looking forward to a brighter future. Thank you.
So, дякую, отче Володимире. Next, we have one of Father Marty's parishes, St. Demetrius. I see you on the screen, so please unmute yourself. And your time begins. Father Deacon Tony, how are you?
Very good. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever. Your time begins now.
Thank you. So we're going to go through briefly the demographic changes at St. Demetrius over the years. So St. Demetrius is one of the parishes in western North Dakota. In 1898, the pioneers from Ukraine, from the Ternopil area and other areas near that in Ukraine, arrived in western North Dakota. In 1905, this parish was founded, and in the town of Ukraina. In 1909, Metropolitan Ortinsky came to consecrate the church. In 1916, there was a group of parishioners who split from the church and joined the Orthodox Church, establishing St. Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the same town across the road. It occurred over an issue of a priest arriving late for a service and a disagreement among the people. In 1949, the church was moved geographically from the town of Ukraina out to Highway 85, which is about 10 miles distance from where it was originally built. With that move, there was a number of families that departed for the Roman Catholic Church or St. John the Baptist, Ukrainian Catholic Church to the south, just because of the geographic difference of commuting to church in a horse and a wagon. There continued to be a drift over time to the Roman Catholic Church, in part because of the 2.5 hour long liturgy. There was a half-hour homily in Ukrainian, followed by a half-hour homily in English, and then distributing Eucharist for a couple hundred people. So the Roman Catholic Mass was quite a bit shorter, which attracted a number of people, so say our resident historians here. In the 40s and 50s, the farmers tended to move off the farm. This is a land grant area of the United States where pioneers would come and live on the 130 acres, the quarter section, and then for 5 years, and then they would be given the land. Well, that wasn't sustainable over time, so farms had to become larger to be able to support families. So farmers tended to move off the farm because of retirement and consolidation. In the 1950s, there was the introduction of English into the liturgies, but not a changeover to. There was just the introduction of. In the 1960s and 70s, larger numbers tended to enter the Roman Catholic Church through marriage. In 1968, the Orthodox Church that I mentioned, St. Peter and Paul, closed. Their parishioners did not return to the Ukrainian Catholic Church. Rather, they tended to go to the Lutheran Church. Beginning in 1976, the parishes of St. Demetrius and St. John the Baptist started to share a priest between the two communities. In 1997, we saw the pivot from Church Slavonic to Ukrainian as the liturgical language. That led to no change in the demographics. There weren't anyone that left or came because of that change. In the early 2000s, we start to see this is a period of decline from the church being packed in its early days in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and we see a decline of population. Then in the early 2000s, the parish went through 16 years without a marriage in the parish. In about 1997, also we
Father Deacon, your time is running short, so if you can wrap up.
In 97, we see an upswing. We see the beginning of sacraments being given to the infants by Father Bohdan Nalisnik. And in 2016, we see a wave of priests from Ukraine coming, Father Yuri Sas, Father Miroslav Dumich, Father Ivan Skumbuchuk. In 2019, Father Miroslav keeps the church open through COVID. We're clearly in a rebound phase at this point. We're a pioneer parish of 6 generations. We now have immigrants, refugees, others that are attracted to the beauty of the liturgy, some families returning to the region, and some converts, as well as some Roman Catholics that have joined our community. We're a vibrant and growing parish in good shape at this point. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure it helps that you've got a deacon at the parish, right, Tony?
We have our wonderful deacon, Leonard Cordinelli, the senior deacon of the eparchy.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. The dean. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And just for continuity's sake, why don't we stay in North Dakota? Father Marty, I see that you're identified as St. John the Baptist. So we'll turn it over to you, and your time starts now.
Okay, yeah, just cut me off when my time's up. And so we started talking about changes and the random ones. We didn't plan them, but we responded to them, and some of them had positive effects, some negative, and some both positive and negative, both blessing and curse. But one of the comments was when one of the parishioners, when people came to visit who hadn't been for a while, they would say, like, where's all the parishioners of St. John's we knew? And she said, they're in the cemetery. So we've lost quite a few people just by dying on us. We have had new people taking interest because they like our liturgy. We've had a lot of visitors from non-Ukrainian and non-Byzantine traditions, and some have stayed. We also have received a lot of visitors through funerals, through baptisms, through marriages, and some of those maybe don't come regularly, but they come every now and then. They liked the experience they had. We also had some interesting things happen during COVID time. Some of it affected us, and some, I think, in more general. But because of COVID, people during the live streams discovered the Byzantine liturgy that had never seen it before. But also, the people looking for a place where they could still receive the Eucharist, which they could. Again, the change, we lost the Ukrainian dancing, which was significant for both parishes, and we might see a comeback for that. It seems that faith, family, traditions, culture in the Ukrainian community and the Byzantine community, they all work together. We tend to protect the faith, which that can be a blessing or a curse. We protect the faith in that we preserve it for the sake of those that want to come visit, but also sometimes we protect it by keeping it a little too much to ourselves. And so we do have parishioners, a number of them that are here among us today that said that on a regular basis they invite people to our parish, and so we've seen some of those come. One of the blessings we have is that our church is getting noisier and noisier, in that we have a lot more small children in our parish, and that seems to delight us to have them join in their off-tune singing of parts of our liturgy. Now, we talked about in our faith tradition and our cultural tradition that we need to have a balance, that the spiritual bedrock within our cultural traditions is really important. We need God, and it's really our spiritual bedrock that informs our traditions. And of course, a lot of our traditions are connected with the liturgical calendar.
Okay, if you could wrap up, Father, sorry.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of it is that we have people that are coming to visit us that are partly curious, but also people that are looking for an authenticity and a beauty. And it seems like they discovered that some people are discovering that with us and joining us. So thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Father. So let's go from the tundra of North Dakota to the desert, St. Michael's of Tucson. I think I see Father Nick there in the corner of your screen.
I'm here.
So there you go. So you are unmuted and your time starts now.
Excellent. Michael? We chose the question about being excited about what we're excited about. And we're excited about the growth that we have seen recently, slow but sure. But we've got more young people, so we have been able to restart our religious education classes for the children, which has been a great success. The children are very much enjoying it, and we have a lot of good support of that. Also, we are excited about the fact that so many of the people who come to visit our parish and come repeatedly have experienced and have made mention of the fact of how it's a family. It's not just a group of people, that they feel like they're with their family when they're with us, that this is a church family and that we're all united in God. Also, the beautification of our church that has occurred over a decade, at least, and the way that the people in the parish are very committed to the parish and always willing and desiring to help out has been just a wonderful support system that we've seen. And so we're excited about what God has in store for us. We know we're working hard for it, but we know that what's going to happen is in God's plan, and we're looking forward to seeing how God has made his plan for us and where we go from here.
Okay, thank you. So once again, let's just like we did with North Dakota, let's stay in the same state. And Ocha Andrio, I see you now as St. Paul in Flagstaff. So if you would please, your time starts now.
Okay, as you see, I'm beside myself with excitement. We have a micro parish. This is a mission that was started by Father Hugo Sotus. He used to come from Phoenix. Right now, we're a small group. This is when Bishop Benedict came to visit us when we were still doing services in our home, but now we have the use of Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and you can see some of the setup that we do every Sunday. Interestingly enough, some people come to visit, but we never know who's going to walk through that door. So we can have anywhere between 4 and 12 people in church on a Sunday. The biggest group we ever had was 20. And we're still very, very young in the revived mission of it's called St. Paul Mission here in Flagstaff. We have great hopes that it'll grow a little bit. We don't expect major growth, but if we can double our size, that would be great. We're going to continue our work and our outreach. We have some very good people in our little mission parish. We have a very good connection. We have a very good connection with the Newman Center here at Northern Arizona University. And we also have a very good relationship with the one big Roman Catholic parish here, which allowed me to preach at all liturgies, 3 English and 1 Spanish, to tell the plight of the Ukrainian people during the war. And we were able to collect thousands of dollars for assistance to Ukraine from the Roman Catholics. And then ourselves, this little community was able to raise about $12,500. When you look at the fact that we are in fact just a handful of people, that is amazing. So it's just proof that God's going to do something. We don't know what, but God's going to do something. Thank you. So I'm done.
Дякую, Отче Митрате. That was exactly 3 minutes. That's amazing. I'm very impressed. But then again, you're always impressive. So
I'm still beside myself.
And you're still beside yourself. I see you're covering up Vladeka. That's what you're doing.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I should get small.
So
I should get smaller. He should get greater.
Bratchik Andrei is always good for a laugh. There we go. All right. So let's finish off Arizona. Dormition of the Mother of God Parish. Please unmute yourself, and your time begins now.
Thank you. We're a little bit warmer than Tucson and Flagstaff. Originally, our parish was a mission from Los Angeles, and we just celebrated our first liturgy in 1957. We became a parish in 1960s. I'm a parishioner here for the past 7 years, and I've seen quite a transition in our parish. Many of our older parishioners are no longer living, but we've had an influx of young families who are not necessarily Ukrainian, but love our Byzantine tradition. We do pray via Zoom 3 evenings a week. We also pray the pre-sanctified services during Lent. Our liturgy is in Ukrainian, Spanish, and English. And interestingly, we've had more baptisms in the past several years than in the previous 10 years. And in fact, have 2 baptisms scheduled for next week and the week after. We've had parishioners that have received their first communion and chrismation, having been baptized in other faiths. We've also last month started for our 3 to 6-year-old children religious education using the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd prior to our liturgies on Sundays. And we do enjoy a full meal after liturgy, which has given us an opportunity as a parish to draw much closer. And I trust I'm under 3 minutes. Thank you.
You were well under 3 minutes, which we all appreciate. So thank you to our parish in Phoenix. And just a quick reminder, today's session is trying to focus on kind of where our parishes have been. So as we move forward, we'll ask everybody to keep their comments or to try and focus their comments on yesterday and what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then in the next session in November we will move on to today. So from Arizona, we move next door to the Golden State, and I see St. Michael's in Clovis. I see Father Greg in a very nice riazza. I see you have unmuted yourself, so your time begins now.
Slava Isusu Christu, Привit from sunny California. I'm so nice to see all of you today. It was just a wonderful session we had here. During our discussions today, we looked at numbers 2 and 7. That was our focus. And the thing that when we were established back in 2015 by Bishop Semenak, our focus was to provide good services and full services. So we began with, we had the pre-sanctified, we had Divine Liturgy, Vespers, and we have added on full Mass as well on Sunday mornings. So we're very liturgically based, and that's our passion here. And it helps that my wife is such a wonderful cantor who can sing so beautifully. She makes me look good. She makes me sound good too, so thank God for that. In terms of our growth, we began by attracting locals, and now we've had some influx from Ukraine. A number of immigrants are attending our services here, so we're growing that way. And I will say that half of our female congregation is currently pregnant right now, and we're going to be seeing some baptisms coming up in the next little while. We began with all English services, but interestingly, we're going opposite the trend of going from Ukrainian to English. We're going with more Ukrainian now, and a lot of our non-Ukrainian speakers are embracing the language. They're hungry to learn it, and they want to learn the music and the liturgical language that we have here. So that's our excitement. We're looking for a new home. We were established as a parish just this past year, and we're hoping to expand into a larger home for ourselves. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you at the next conference.
Okay. Thank you, Father Greg. And indeed, yeah, Pani Matka is a wonderful cantor, and she's a wonderful professor of our Mission Institute as well. So so much appreciated on both fronts. So and right next to you, I have
Father Deacon, we have Father Deacon, sorry. San Diego in the chat is ready and has time constraints.
Oh, San Diego has a time constraint? Well, we're in California. So so San Diego, please unmute yourself, and your time begins now.
Thank you. Our parish was founded in 1960 primarily by Detroiters from St. John's on Clifford Street, about 15 families that moved out to San Diego. We're going to discuss COVID, and COVID was probably the best thing that has happened in the history of the parish. We, in good California fashion, are homeless. Our church building was sold in 2018, and we were at a Roman Catholic monastery chapel, and when COVID happened, everything closed. So we moved to the very large property of a parishioner, and we had, for over 1 year, services in a fruit orchard. And our parish grew during COVID. We had 9 baptisms and 5 weddings, and many more baptisms since then because of COVID and those marriages. And we retained one service fully bilingual, 50-50. And like I said, during COVID, we grew because we had a very unique experience of being kind of in the underground. There was one time where there was a police helicopter that was circling, and in hindsight, it probably would have been nice if the police raided us during the live stream. That would have been good for fundraising. But we had all of our services were outdoors, including Pascha, and I believe that brought the parish a lot closer together as far as people getting to know each other because of the unique experience. We moved back into the chapel in 2022, end of 2021, and our parish was stronger and bigger than it had been in the last 20 or 30 years through COVID, ironically. And when the war broke out in Ukraine, we had a large refugee camp 15 miles south of us in Tijuana, Mexico. And our parish was able to serve those people. We went down there and provided them with assistance and goods in conjunction with a Ukrainian Catholic priest that was in Tijuana and the Sisters of Charity. And we have since integrated some of these refugees into our parish. We now have about 15 kids each Sunday in catechism. We have a lot of pregnant women in the parish. We have 5 altar boys, when for many years we had no altar boys. We sing very well, so we're very blessed with that. And in the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to break ground on a new church, and we're very fortunate. So just to recap, we've been homeless since 2018, but through the generosity of a Roman Catholic monastery, we're able to worship there on Sundays. And our parish was strengthened during COVID. And our parish, if you know the history of the San Diego parish, we've had a lot of difficulties in the last decade. We have a fantastic priest, as Father Chudovsky said at the beginning of his comments. And if the priest loves the people and the priest loves God, the parishioners will love each other, they will love God, and the parish will grow despite a pandemic and despite not having a home for 5 years. So that was the discussion amongst the San Diego people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for all your wonderful news. And yeah, we look forward to hearing more in our next sessions. So next door is Holy Wisdom in Citrus Grove. So please unmute, and your time begins now.
I hit the screen. Okay. Our parish is a English-speaking micro parish of that was started by Father Ted, the deceased Father Ted Blicky, and we're basically homeless. We started over at St. George. We had Divine Liturgy, and then from there we went to Newman Center, and from there Mercy Hospital. And presently we have Divine Liturgy in the English tradition at Christ the King Passionate Retreat Center, a fixed location. We have icon screens, and we set up the church here, and we welcome the visitors that come here. They know about our parish through email and our website, but it's currently down because it's being redone. It was sold by the other server, and it's being reconstructed. And after Divine Liturgy, we try to get visitors, know them very well with coffee, and we have a potlucks after some of the feasts, and we celebrate in English. And Father Ted was very active on Catholic radio. We had we had Molebens, we had pre-sanctified Mass, and that when COVID came and when Father Ted passed away, we some of those traditions that are or services that we had, and we tried to do kind of just fall away. So we're kind of with an ebb period, but now we're reviving again with Father Vasil Midziuk, and we're a welcoming parish, and again, we use the Divine Liturgy Anthology for Worship developed by the Metropolitan Sheptetsky Institute of Eastern Christian Studies. And we also have small booklets of the non-movable parts for guests. That's our past history. We're short history from 2002.
Thank you for that. And yeah, and always wonderful to hear from the micro parishes that make it work. So thank you very much. Staying in California, let's go to the capital of that state, St. Andrew in Sacramento. I see you have unmuted, so your time begins now.
Okay. Slava Isusu Christu, glory be to Jesus Christ. So a lot of changes happened in our parish, St. Andrew, and recently, and I will follow the questionnaire. It used to be the parish bulletin on a weekly basis and a board of announcement. Now we have the electronic version of bulletin on monthly basis, and we have a list of emails, and we send out announce through email to our parishioners. Also, a lot of communications is happening over Facebook and Viber, and also we have a video casting of liturgy, Sunday liturgy on Facebook. I think it's very helpful for our parishioners who cannot be present on Sunday. Also, a lot of changes happened in our spiritual life. We have more liturgical services, and especially during the Great Lent, we had a canon of St. Andrew of Crete, Vespers on daily basis, and so on. And also, we changed the calendar last year, and now we follow the Gregorian calendar. Also, a lot of changes related to work with children. Now the work with children is a completely new level. We conducted 2 summer camps. Also, we have regular classes of preparation in children for First Communion. For adults, and now we have biblical reading over Zoom, and it's all about it's all these changes. All our parishioners are so excited about all these changes. So we had tradition to have festival on Pokrova, and during the COVID, we had to take a break. But now we restore this tradition, and we organized this festival this year. Now our parish experienced a flux of new people from Ukraine due to war. Definitely the number of parishioners increased, but regarding the language is still Ukrainian, so it's no changes in that relation. Frankly saying, COVID impacted our parish very badly. Financially, we went down, and we had to pay some mortgages. But it looks like now we are recovering after COVID, and back on tracks. And so overall, we do see God is present in our parish. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that. Let us, I think, finish California with Nativity of the Mother of God Parish in Los Angeles. I saw Tech Ihor there somewhere earlier today, but
Oh,
now, oh,
I'm
Vitaly,
here.
Slava
Vitaly,
Navike.
Slava Navike, yes.
And a very handsome gentleman in a very Los Angeles shirt. So
Yes.
I see you've unmuted and your time begins
Yeah.
now.
Called Walter Zuzula. Zuzula, very Ukrainian Zuzula.
Okay, well, I've been in this parish, I think, since 1952, when I made my first Holy Communion, and we were in a converted, I guess, house, or I think maybe it was a Polish convent or something, in Central City, Los Angeles. And then eventually we bought this church, the building here in East Hollywood. And our parish is, you know, we've grown. We seem to follow the ebb and flow of the immigrant waves. You know, I came we came in 1948 from the DP camp in Germany. We stayed in New York for 5 years, and then we came out here to California, and we've been here ever since. But so I've kind of watched our parish grow from a small community of immigrants, and then we've expanded, we contracted, we've expanded. We're doing great. I mean, our church is in the building's in great shape. We're doing some renovations. Our attendance, it could be better, but compared to what other churches and even the Roman Catholic large churches, the Hispanic churches, we're doing great. Our problem is we're in Los Angeles, where our parish is probably scattered from parishioners that are in, say, western Los Angeles County, to those that are all the way into eastern Los Angeles County, is about 100 miles almost. Yeah. In traffic, if you live in 30 miles from the church, in traffic, it's a 2-hour drive. On Sundays, you can usually make it in half hour, 45 minutes. I live in Tujunga, which is a sort of a suburb of Los Angeles near Glendale. And I used to be able to, even on Sunday, today's Saturday, I could come here in a half hour. Today, it took me 45 minutes. Just we're growing. But that's, I think, one of our problems that we're working to. We've got our main focus now is on the new wave. We're trying to attract the new immigrants. It's hard to attract singles, and there's not that many that we've noticed. The young couples that are coming, we're trying to, maybe some single women whose husbands are still in the Ukraine fighting. I'm also on the board of directors of UKO, the Ukrainian Culture Organization, which is not too far from here. And we're experiencing the same problem. We're sort of aging out, and we're slowly attracting the younger generation of new immigrants. I think that's where our growth is. I think we're going to see a large influx. I don't know if it'll be as great as, say, the generation that came after World War II. But I think as even after the war in Ukraine, I think we're going to see more and more legal immigrants into the United States. Los Angeles is a great magnet, but it's also one of the most expensive cities in the United States to live. Just to give you an example, a 2-bedroom apartment here in Hollywood goes for about $3,000 a month, which in North Dakota, you can buy a 100-acre ranch for that. So, and the job market here.
Okay, if you could wrap up, please.
Okay, so actually, we've grown from to 1947 when it started, from holding services in a converted home. We now have a large property in the middle of Hollywood, church hall. We have pastor's quarters, visitors apartment. So I think we're doing great, and we just need to. We still have room in many pews that we need to fill. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's go up the Pacific coast.
Father Deacon, excuse me, Deacon Eugene, Logos with St. Mary's Assumption in Missouri. I also have a time constraint. We're in a motorhome right now in North Carolina, and we're almost at our destination. So I will be very short, but if you give me permission, I would just like to wrap up for our St. Louis, Missouri parish.
Your time, Father Deacon, is now.
Дуже дякую. Слава Ісусу Христу всім. So we discussed, and this is a wonderful tool being a Zoom conference, the issue of demographics, many of the same aspects that have been discussed already in so many ways. Our parish was founded in 1907. Our sister parish across the river of Holy Protection was founded in 1920. In order to siphon off immigrants, a lot of assimilation prior to World War II, a fairly large group of what we used to call the Novaya Migratsia after World War II. Many of their children, however, either assimilated or moved, being very socially mobile. Our parish is very largely new immigrants arriving since the 1990s. We adhere to the principle of only one divine liturgy. We use both languages as appropriate. And I think because our parish is rapidly growing, even if we were to move to two liturgies, I don't think it's a good idea to divide a parish along linguistic lines. One thing that I can say, regardless of what it is we do in terms of to whom we're ministering, the spiritual focus of the parish should be first and foremost. It should be preeminent. I've discovered that a lot of the new immigrants recognize that they're living in America. They don't have this fixation necessarily that was true after World War II of viewing the parish as sort of a repository for saving the Ukrainian language, whatever. They're searching for faith. They're searching for the gospel and for the comfort of Jesus Christ. And so it doesn't matter what their language is. And we try to be as welcoming as possible to anyone who enters our church. And we've experienced very considerable growth. We recently reopened the church in Madison, Illinois. It was closed down for many, many years. And we are trying to, as we'll be talking in future conferences, to understand what the future goals are and the future challenges. The last thing I would like to say, we have not had a priest, a Ukrainian Catholic full-time priest in St. Louis, Missouri since 2002. We owe our existence to the wonderful Jesuit community at St. Louis University. There have been a wealth of biritual priests. In fact, Father James Deshotel is currently our primary celebrant, and they have been very generous in reaching out to us. And I might also say that they are very scrupulous and very careful in terms of adhering to all of the rubrics and to all of the way that the various liturgical services should be celebrated. Father James has reintroduced the liturgy of the pre-sanctified. So we're hobbling along with just myself as a deacon, as administrator, but we feel very strongly that if the church as a whole remains committed to its primary goal of offering up our Lord to the world, which is so desperately seeking salvation and meaning in the life of the modern world, we will, regardless of the ebb and flow and regardless of the demographics, we will always have a future. As the Patriarch says, we are definitely a Ukrainian and Catholic church, but we are not simply for Ukrainians. Дуже дякую. Thank you very much. Слава Ісусу Христу.
Слава навіки, дуже дякую, отче Diakone. So since we've moved to the Midwest, I just got a message that St. Constantine's, thanks be to God, is about to go off and celebrate Vespers. So St. Constantine's in Minneapolis. Please unmute and your time begins now.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Father Deacon. Thank you.
Yes, we'd like to mention right at the start that our parish is starting, we're moving in a very positive direction. However, we decided to talk about this. We combined all 6 questions into two parts. First one is the the communication question. With our new, in a positive direction, we have more informative and a better format of Sunday bulletins, which are also. We have live streaming services, even still now we have for the church. Is that we formalized and organized our membership numbers. Now we know who's active and not active and so forth. So that was a nice change we had. Also, we're very excited that we have a very good choir. And why do we have a very good choir? Because we have a very good conductor right here sitting next to me. And I think if you build it, people come to listen to our services because of the beautiful music. And then number 3 was what is the good thing that happened recently? Changes. We have a new priest, which we just really appreciate and love. And he is putting us in this right direction. What some of the changes that are not good that used to be in the past is that we have Sunday school now, and it should have been Saturday school because it interferes with church if we have it on Sunday, and that makes it a very long day for parishioners from 10 o'clock to 3, and then they have dancing, and we want to put plast in there. That doesn't work. So now Sunday school, it would have been better to have Saturday school as in the past. I know Chicago, I went to Chicago Saturday school, and it was a much better idea. And then number 5, we combined that God is everywhere and God is guiding us, and we're very grateful for God's plan, moving us in the right direction. And then I'll have Yuri continue with the rest of the
demographics and immigration. Our church, roots of our parish is in 1887. The cornerstone of the building of that church was blessed by Father Volansky, who was the first Ukrainian priest in America. And then you know the story about Father Alexis Todt and Bishop Ireland. It happened here in Minneapolis. And the Ukrainians parted with the church became Orthodox, and we eventually in 1913 the Ukrainians founded St. Constantine's. And since then, there were several generations of immigrants joined the parish. The older generations were building an immigrant church with the hands of immigrant, building an immigrant church for future immigrants. And I think that resulted in not working with the local community, not connecting with the Roman Catholic community, not working with the locals who live across the street. Also, that resulted, as a result, it was resembling more like a Ukrainian club, and we had a nice museum, ethnographical museum, but very weak liturgical practices. Now with Father Ivan in charge, we do pre-sanctified, we do passions, we do royal hours, vespers, matins, and trying to do more and discover.
Okay, Brate Yuri, and soon to be Pete Diakone, please wrap.
Yes, it's a big deal for us here.
In the 23 years that I'm here, in the first 17 years, we had only 4 bishop visitations, and now Bishop Benedict, I think, coming for the 4th time in the short time that he's installed here, which we very welcome. We appreciate because we always knew that the diocese is in Chicago, but that was it. We didn't have much connection. And I think that would be great if we could strengthen that connection and have more guidance and training from the diocese coming down to us.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to say thank you right there. Okay, moving on. Let's hear from our cathedral parish of St. Nicholas.
Hi, Slava Jesus Christu, glory be to Jesus Christ.
I'm Phyllis from the Cathedral Parish. I don't know how to change my name, so sorry about that. Thank you to Bishop Benedict for reviving these conferences. I think they're an integral part of being a unity, a good family. We talked about the changes and the strategy. So one of the things we brought up is it's very important for all of our clergy to teach and not preach. And by better educating the people as to who we are, we can better understand our purpose here. And in doing so, the strategy is broken down into 3 parts. There's a cultural part, which is the festivals, the traditions, explaining the different dishes that we have at like Christmas Eve dinner. We have the School of Arts here in the cathedral, which carries on cultural traditions as well. Liturgically, we need to explain to the people why we do what we do and what makes us different and helps people hold true to our traditions versus joining Roman Catholic churches. Liturgy should be a dynamic part of our life, and the church needs to be dynamic. And in doing so, through this dynamic expression, we meet Jesus Christ. And that's what the church needs to be about. We need to be actively participating in church life and understanding why we do what we do in liturgies. And thirdly is through communication, communicating with the outside people, as it's been called, having them understand who we are, inviting them into and joining our parish life. In Chicago, we have the great opportunity through our school. St. Nicholas Cathedral School has not only Ukrainians born here, we have a tremendous influx of refugees, and we also have a good part of the community who are non-Ukrainians. And then we have to invite them into our parish. And we feel that through this is how we can grow. I hope that I'm under 3 minutes.
Yes, you were indeed. So, дякую. Thank you to our cathedral parish. Let's see if we can, since our Michigan parishes are on Eastern time, бачу вас, Отче Miroslave, St. John the Baptist in downtown Detroit. So please, your time begins now.
Слава Ісусу Христу, вітаємо всіх. My council president Joseph Shafransky will share information.
Good afternoon. What we'd like to talk about is how immigration affected St. John the Baptist. Part of the first wave of immigrants started coming to the Detroit area in about the early 1900s. They were attracted by the manufacturing plants, and there were enough people here that they finally were able to form a parish in 1907. That's a correction for the previous presentation. It's not 1911, it's 1907. They built a small wooden church, and the parish continued to grow with more and more immigrants. Because of the growth, a group split off and formed the Immaculate Conception Parish in Hamtramck on the other side of Detroit. With the growth that we had, we built our current parish church in 1918 out of brick, much bit different than the wooden church. Between the wars, there was a considerable growth. We formed a parish school in 1938. We were doing actually quite well. After World War II, there was a giant influx of immigration. St. John's probably had about 1,000 parishioners. We had 3 priests in residence. We had 5 nuns. There were 6 liturgies on Sunday, 3 liturgies every day. But then some people started moving out to the western suburbs of Detroit. So in the 1950s, they formed St. Michael's in Dearborn. And in the 1960s, they formed Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Dearborn Heights. After that, starting about the 1970s, 1980s, there was a slow decline in the number of parishioners. Our school finally closed in 1985, and it was a slow decline. We just parish was just dwindling numbers. They were assimilating. The second and third generations were becoming Roman Catholic, or they moved out of the area. But then the fourth wave came in, and the immigrants started bringing new life into our parish. It was quite interesting. The current new immigrants, they are extremely active in our parish. They are really putting in a lot of work in renovations and putting on events to the point that our financial situation is considerably better than it was, say, 10 years ago. One interesting thing about this history of St. John's is that the Detroit Historical Society runs occasional tours of historic Detroit churches, and St. John's is on the tour about every couple of years. And
if we can ask you to wrap up, please.
Okay, I just want to say one last thing, and that when we give the tours, it's always interesting to hear what people say the first time they enter the church. They see the icons, they see the iconostas, and basically almost everybody says, ooh, or ah. It's just an amazing little thing. So anyway, that's how immigration took care of Detroit.
Okay, thank you very much. Дякую. Let's go to nearby Macomb County, St. Josephat Parish in Warren, please.
Slava Isusu Christu. My name is Father Emilian. I'm a pastor of St. Josephat Church in Warren, Michigan, and I discussed question number 4 about what the parish had in the past, what we have now, or vice versa, with 2 of my parishioners, but they had to leave. They had only like 2 hours at most that they could stay, and they can go back to their duties. And so since I'm working remotely, I'm in Chicago right now, and I do not have a pen, so I'm gonna say just probably two points point out from my memory. I would like to divide the whole history of parish into two periods. One is before 1991, the other after 1991, when we had the whole parish was built on the mixed marriages, and people spoke English well. People kept the tradition in Ukrainian language and Ukrainian tradition. We had three-day festival once a year. We had other events that were a lot of them were done actually in English, and but people did not forget Ukrainian language, because even though we had like half and half on Sunday divine liturgies, one in Ukrainian, one in English, but we definitely had every day divine liturgy in Ukrainian language, and we still do have. However, I do a little small changes in the parish, because I want people to have an access for the prayers or for other events. So we are trying to do it half and half, and because if we do one whole event in Ukrainian, the other in English, people who come and don't really understand or speak English, or don't really understand speak Ukrainian, it's a huge challenge, and it's a fear that I do not understand what's going on. And for that reason, we're trying to do it both languages. People who came here and lived here before 1990 or 1991, they never knew when they're gonna go back to Ukrainian or get back to when the Ukraine will be free again. They everything they arranged, they feel like at home, even though, for example, the other would be Prosphora or Svechene. They gather together like one big family. Now we don't have it anymore, because people who came from Ukraine, it doesn't matter which wave, first, second, third, or fifth, they don't have that feeling. They come in, they settle, but they do not know if they will move back or will move forward. But the idea is always to accommodate those who came long time ago and feel comfortable at home and have a relationship with God. or those who came recently from Ukraine and don't even understand or speak English yet, for them to comfortable. And for whatever we did not have in the past, we have today. We may pray Moleben in English. We may have a holy hour in Ukrainian and English, or divine liturgy Ukrainian English. Sometimes happens both languages, like 50-50. Whatever we did not have in the past, that's what I just mentioned, like 3 of those points. And I thank you.
Please.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Perfect timing. Okay, дякую. Thank you very much. Immaculate Conception in Hamtramck. Please unmute, and your time begins now. Immaculate Conception in Hamtramck, please. All right, going once. Going twice. All right, let's go to Western Michigan. Isara Parish in Grand Rapids. Are you here still with us?
Lord of Jesus Christ.
There you are. St. Michael's in Grand Rapids. Yakuyu, your time begins now.
Oh, good afternoon. Greetings to everyone. My name is Eugene Hanka. I've been with St. Michael's Parish since 1957. With me is Father Roman Fetchik, our present pastor, who's been with us since May of 2019. Pani Natalia, she's his wife right here. Dr. Scott Holmes, who's on a church council. I'm the head of the church council. He's my right-hand man. And his lovely wife next to him. Thank you so much. The parish of St. Michael was formed in 1948 at St. James Roman Catholic Parish, about 3/4 of a mile north of where we are now. In late 1949, he purchased the present building. And in 1951, he dedicated this building. We have been in this building since. Our church itself was built back in 1893. It was a Protestant edifice until the Ukrainians bought it in 1950. We have had the usual revolving door syndrome taking place in our parish, as almost other parishes have had. People come, people go. The unfortunate thing is that not too many tend to stay. Luckily, we have pretty much supported ourselves with the resourcefulness of the initial founders, put on many picnics, dinners, various other social events over the years, and were able to save up a decent amount of funds, which sustained us in the declining years. In recent times, the last wave of Ukrainian immigrants from Ukraine in the late 90s or late 80s and early 90s did not help us out that much. Very few people affiliated with us at that time. For the most part, it was the local folks that affiliated with us, the Roman Catholics, those of other stripes. They came on board. We had a good group of about 8 families that were homeschooling Catholic families that affiliated in 2002 and were very strongly participating with us until about 07, 08 when we had the economic decline. That group disbanded at that time, so we hit another truck period. In the early 2000s, we had a father, Stefan Vasily, who was a very energetic young man that rejuvenated most of the activities within the parish. He became like a magnet who drew a lot of people into the parish. That helped sustain us for a good 4 or 5 years in that regard. But again, revolving door syndrome, people filtered in, filtered out. Towards the late 2010s, Father Mike Blish was assigned to our parish. He was handicapped, so we had to remodel the interior of the church for his needs. With him being here, the expenses and upkeep of Father, as well as other things, really drew down our savings that we had accumulated in the previous several decades. And that is where we had our closest call to maybe closing the parish. Luckily, things rebounded. We had several families that affiliated with us, primarily the Hentemann family. They're a well-educated and spread out group of about 8 or 9 siblings. They are our primary financial support now. They drive in from a good hour plus, and they are the ones that sustain us at this point in time. So that is where we stand as of the
You can wrap
more recent times. I will continue with this in
up.
a later segment
Okay.
and see how
Thank
the
you.
immigrants in the current wave have helped us. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Saint Sophia, the Colony, Texas. Ocha Paula, and your time begins now.
Slava Isus Christu, thank you so much for allowing us to speak at this moment. We looked over the questions, and one of the things we talked about, number one, excitement, you know, how exciting it is, certain things, certain changes that take time, that take place in our parish. So we are recently young parish. We purchased a building from Baptist Church in 2000. So we've been in business, we like to say, for 23 years, last 23 years. And now the exciting part is that we are there to think about actually building new church, or we are thinking, you know, we are speaking, we are talking about it. That will be of our own style, Byzantine style, in accordance with, you know, with how things should be in the church. So those are exciting things. Those are exciting tidings that are happening to our parish. The other question we looked over was the question of demographics, change in culture. And over the years, you know, our parish was founded, so it was heavily at the beginning Ukrainian language. Majority or most of the Ukrainian people born in Ukraine or Ukrainian descent. And over the years, many factors influenced that would change the demographics and culture of the parish. Many more things liturgically been added that we do in English language. Many new members joined that were non-Ukrainian speakers, and different ethnic groups. So now, even though we still have services in both languages, we have one liturgy, and in every service we do a little bit Ukrainian, a little bit English, but the parish and demographics, majority of the families, I would say, are English speaking and non-Ukrainian. So once again, it's exciting to be able to share the gospel with everyone, to baptize the whole world, baptize the, you know, go into the neighborhoods, spread the gospel of Christ to those around us. We've seen the steady growth over the years. We've been pleased with many things that's taken place the parish level, and the good foundation that was done in the past. And as I said, we are excited about, you know, possibility of a new church eventually. It's not definitive. We are talking about, we are daring to think about it. And this is our parish. This is Saint Sophia in Texas. Demographically, also what happened, there is, besides the new immigration that coming in right now, and it's been a trend throughout the whole country, but also we have lots of internal, you know, so to speak, influx. Many people from Chicago, many people from all over the United States are coming now to Texas, looking for jobs, looking for whatever economic, you know, stability. So that also influenced the growth of the parish. And as we were talking about, you know, one of the key factors also, I think, it surfaced the liturgical stability. That was, I think, also important factor, liturgical stability. Sticking to our services, sticking to traditions of our church, educating people, why we do, what's important, why, you know, it's important to do it, and hopefully, yeah. So it did produce fruits, and hopefully it will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ocha Paula.
Can we allow to our mission in Cody, because he has limited time?
Sure. Cody, Wyoming?
Yeah.
Okay, your time begins now.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hayden Bales. Glory be to Jesus Christ. I'm on the board of directors with St. Luke's, and we are very excited. We have been given a wonderful priest, Father Roman, and we are the newest mission and the newest church now in the eparchy. We started in 2018, and we were kind of born out of COVID, and I think another reason why we were born was Father David Anderson has been at Wyoming Catholic College, and a lot of us started frequenting services there. I'm not canonically Ukrainian Catholic, but I changed rites, and I married into a large Ukrainian family who had not been in the church for a while, but we all kind of rekindled a love of the East by attending those services in Lander, and we started to wonder why can't we have this where we're from, and so a big idea was born, and Father Pavlo came in and saw the mission, and we formed a board of directors. We said, well, if they won't send us a priest right now, why don't we form a mission? So we started flying in priests from pretty much all over the eparchy, and there's been 5 or 6 priests that have been serving us on a monthly basis. There are about 30 full-time members of the church, and there are probably 50 Roman Catholics who are also kind of frequenting the church. We suspect probably a couple of those families will join, maybe more. I think it was kind of a wild idea at first, and people are like, wow, this is actually happening. Now I could actually, be spiritually fulfilled through this church. And I think we aren't a Ukrainian parish. We're kind of open. We're trying to attract anyone. We're trying to show people that this is a church for all people. And I think it speaks well to all cultures, and it's a very beautiful way of faith. And I think that has attracted the community around us, and we hope to bring them in who find fulfillment through our church. And we have a big year ahead of us. We have Father Roman coming in a couple of months. We just found him a house today, and we hold services out of a shared community clubhouse. And it's kind of a take your stuff down, put it up situation. Hopefully it's short-lived, but for the meantime, that's what we're going to be doing. I think we're going to be undertaking a large-scale fundraiser to build our temple here in the next year. And please pray for us. And we're building a donor base of large, medium, and small donors, and we've had success in all 3 departments. People are really stepping up, and they're excited about this church. And I just very much believe that God has willed this church, and God has continued to solve every problem we've had. And it's going to take time. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We're really looking forward to it.
One of the joys is seeing these micro parishes grow. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's go back to Texas.
Well then.
Well, hold on. Okay. We have OLPH, Our Lady of Professional Help. They've been waiting patiently. So let's them go, and then we'll go back down to Texas.
Thank you so much. My name is Vladimir Petru. I'm pastor from Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church, and I would like to say about the spiritual life. Yeah, it's very important for the parish and for the priest to have a spiritual life. Even the challenges what we have, or we will have, it's nothing when we try to serve the God. And I would like to say our parish was founded in 1963, and we have a Monsignor Bochnevich after their father John Lazar, and after third one I'm in this parish since 2004. And I would like to say, yes, we have some services in past, and was a good parish and vibrant parish, and still we renew something. We try to be a more Byzantine liturgical tradition and try to keep parish in one. We previously had a 2 divine liturgy, one in Ukrainian, one in English. Now we have a 50-50, and I believe it's working a little bit longest, but it gives us chance to come together and to pray. And in this way, we got some new parishes from... Hello? You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Keep going, Archer.
Okay, and we now kind of on the way, because look like our parish more English-speaking people than Ukrainian people. We don't have a lot of immigrants. We have a few, but we got some people from Roman Catholic Church, and they try to be a part.
Отче Микола, будь ласка, треба вам натиснути м'ют.
Окей, Марині. Слава Ісусу Христу.
Ні, не ви, отче Микола. Отче Микола Бурядник. Вас чути. Прошу на м'ют. Okay, отче Володимире, please finish.
Yeah, just surely, yeah. And we have some local people. We're so happy to have them because they are traditional from Roman Catholic Church, but always we have some services. They come for Present Divine Liturgy. Now we start the 3rd hour every Saturday, and even the feast day we celebrate at evening time. They come, and I'm so excited. We try to maybe do more thing that for the local people, they give the chance to this parish to grow up. That's all.
Thank you very much, and I think I see Patriarch Yosef watching over you from above. So
that's right.
Very nice to see. That's very nice to see. Okay, Texas, Pokrove, Houston. You've been more than patient, so your time begins now.
Слава Ісусу Христу. Покрова, Houston. And the first what affect negatively our parish, it is those 3 words that everything bigger in the Texas. You know, everything bigger, including distance. At 20 years ago, here was around 12 families lived around the church in those area. 10 years ago, just 6 families. Right now, at present time, it is just 1 family lived in those area. Everybody driving long distance, including 50 and 120 miles from the church. Every Sunday they are driving those distance, and it is hard for them, I think. And what is positive, the question number 5, how God working in your parish, you know, that God sent me, I call it 3 wise men. It is 3 young men who's very active. One start to do the Facebook and our website page. The second do weekly bulletin, and the third one, Stephen Novak, who's here on our Zoom. He's cantor, and I think he's student of Mission Institute, and I hope he will be deacon for our parish in the future. They're very active, and the parish life is changed. We start Pokrova feast day, we start to do the festival, we start the Christmas selling and festival, we start the Vespers, we start pre-sanctified divine liturgy, and many other prayers we do. And I think maybe Stephen, do you have something?
Yes. Yes.
And you have 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. So yes. Thanks to the thanks to the Mission Institute, we now have the education to do much more in our parish, both liturgically and otherwise. Another issue that we have is that we are well known in the Ukrainian community, but not so much outside of it. So in the future, we also want to undertake some efforts to try to make ourselves more known in the greater community of Houston. Certainly, the war has helped with advertising. Whenever the war first hit, we were hit with an influx of visitors trying to support us, but that's kind of died down now. But I'm hoping we can get it back up in the future here.
So thank you, Father McCullough. Thank you, Reader Steve. Let's shoot back west. Our Lady of Zarvanetia, Ocha Andriu, I see you. Please unmute. And Andrew's there with you as well, and another handsome gentleman. So your time begins now.
Slava Isusu Christu, glory to be Jesus Christ. Our parishioner Andrew Wu gonna speak.
Sure. So we basically talked about what we like and being excited about our parish life. So our parish, we received a new pastor about a year ago. With God's blessing, we went through a very smooth and blessed transition period. And Father Andriy helped updated our liturgical service schedule. We have more liturgical celebration. We make sure that we always have pre-sanctified liturgy during the Great Fast. And also we have our every second and fourth Saturday Divine Liturgy and Panachita for the deceased. Every first Friday Divine Liturgy for the healing service. And also we have our first annual whole parish pilgrimage to our neighboring Romanian Greek Catholic monastery down in Olympia. That was a very wonderful time that people enjoy fellowship together as a whole parish community. And we also have a very strong, very lovely sisterhood who help make vareniki and all the wonderful food and sell them that greatly help our parish financial needs. We raise about $2,000 every week from our food sale. And also, I'm very grateful for having a new group of altar boys under my training. That's part of my Mission Institute project as well. And so I try to also introduce the catechism for the altar servers, and thinking about also implementing, doing some more catechism or liturgical reflection or education types of program for our parishioners in the future as well. And so looking forward to the coming future, we see the sign of hope under the leadership of our new pastor. And we also pray fervently that God will continue to guide us. Especially, we see a great increasing number of people coming to our Divine Liturgy. And also we have great number of people coming to confession as well. So how we can better outreach to them and help them serve their needs, I think that's one of our top priorities for now. Дуже дякую.
Дякую, Andriu.
Thank you.
So I see St. Andrew the Apostle in Fort Wayne.
Thank you. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever.
So just to give a brief history of the parish, we're fairly new. Our first Divine Liturgy was celebrated in 2011. I was not a member then. My name's Lance. I am one of Father David's altar servers. So I've been there for it's a little over 4 years now. And so I came in right before COVID. And in that time, the challenge was definitely location changes. So we are another micro parish. We have on a good Sunday, maybe 20 to 30 people, but no ethnic Ukrainians. It's mostly Anglo converts from various traditions, and similar to Father David, actually, who originally was Lutheran and then entered OCA and then entered the Eparchy. So we have that in common with him. I will say this last year, challenges are going to be the location changes. We were meeting at the University of St. Francis here in Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne's kind of a crossroads location between Detroit, Indianapolis, and Chicago. So trying to attract visitors is the main concern of ours. We were at the University of St. Francis, and then several years back, we were meeting at a Roman Catholic church called St. Andrew's, and there was an order of Poor Clares there. And it was lovely. It was a very spiritual experience at the liturgy, having the sisters there with us. But the sisters had to move because the diocese, the Roman Catholic diocese here is doing away with that church, and they're giving it to an organization to use as like a facility for those studying with suffering with addictions. And so now we've relocated. We're currently operating out of Bishop Luers High School. It's a very similar situation, have to, set up and tear down every time. We look forward to getting our own location eventually. Recent changes, Bishop Benedict visited us this year, and we really loved having Vladika with us. It was a galvanizing experience, and he reminded us that despite our small size, God is with us, truly. We also, last year, a very, very strong change for us. We received a deacon from the Ruthenian Church, Father Deacon Tim Woods, who's also a choir director. And so for our size, we're singing quite well. He also runs a ministry as an Uber driver, where he speaks about our Byzantine tradition, and he's passionate about doing further outreach with the broader community here. And lastly, despite Father David's busy schedule as a bi-ritual chaplain, both for the Air Force National Guard and the VA hospital, we have maintained pre-sanctified liturgies during Lent and Molyevan services during Advent. And then also Father runs a book study, and we're currently doing via Zoom, we're currently going over St. Nicholas Kabasala's The Life in Christ. Thank you very much.
That was like 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Perfect.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I have my screen right now. I am showing those who have their video on. Father Deacon Philip, are you representing your parish in St. Joseph?
I suppose I am, since I'm the only one from the parish on the meeting.
Okay, if you want your 3 minutes, they can begin now.
Sure, thank you. So I'm fairly new to this parish. I moved into the area about a year ago, so I'm certainly not an expert on the parish history, but I'll recount what I do know, what I've picked up. The parish is over 100 years old, and looking at old photographs, you can see that it was once quite a large and bustling parish. I've seen photos of probably close to 100 people on the steps of the church. One of those photos is just the men, because all the women and children went to an earlier liturgy that day. So it's quite a large number of people, and there was another church that I believe was served by the priest, or both the priests, because there were two, in Kansas City. That church is now St. Luke Byzantine Catholic Church, so it's not ours anymore, but they were both once served from this one place. I don't know the original reason, but in the 1980s, St. Joseph Parish in St. Joseph, Missouri began to share a priest with the parishes in Nebraska, Lincoln and Omaha, Nebraska. And the parish has not had its own priest since then, since the 1980s, and consequently has not had a Sunday Divine Liturgy since the 1980s. But despite that, there are still some parishioners that come to church every week. We have a Saturday Divine Liturgy for Sunday. Recently, we've gone to twice a month, but we have 3 or 4 people that come every time, and we don't have our own priest, but we have 2 deacons. So Deacon Randy Brown is here with us as well. So we take turns singing and serving, and we're very interested to know what God has in store for us.
Okay, thank you, Father Deacon. I see Nativity in Palos Park. Nativity in Palos Park? We cannot hear you. All right, we'll come back if we can. Immaculate Conception in Palatine, are you there?
I am. I apologize. My video was off for some reason. I just had a couple of issues here. But if you can hear me, I'm going to go ahead. My name is Stefko Kudapash.
We do hear you, so please.
Okay. Okay, so I'm the president of the parish council. I'm going to focus on the history of the church very quickly, up to where we are now, and then obviously next Sobor, I'll let you know what's going on now. We were founded 60 years ago in the northwest suburbs of Chicago and Palatine, and we were founded by a whole group of several families that were from the third generation, DPs as they're called. And for many years, there was a church that was built, and it looked like it was something temporary because it was. We were always planning on building a new church, but it stayed around for many years. Then in the late 80s, one of the priests decided that it would be a good idea for us to have an English liturgy also. At the time, there was only one Ukrainian liturgy. That didn't go over so well with some of the parishioners, but they got used to the idea of having two liturgies, one in English. As time went on, we had discussions about building a new church. And about 15 years ago, we started to really push towards that endeavor. During that time, a lot of the parishioners, especially some of the founding ones, maybe were not as enthusiastic about us having a new church. And there was some friction within our community about that. But we prayed about it. We started raising money, but it was a very slow go. But we always prayed, and we always knew it was in God's plan or God's hands. And even one of our parishioners or priests that at the time would be covering or was like a Sunday helper left, did not stay within our church. Then one year, and I think it was 2014, out of the blue, there was a Father Andriy Kuzniak who attended our church. And he came up to Father Mikhailo and said, I really would like to help out at your church. And we were like, where did this guy come from? Who is he? And so we did a background check on him, and sure enough, he was a priest, because I just want to be a Sunday helper. I want to be involved here. And so God provided. And then Father Yaroslav Mendyuk, after hearing about what we were trying to do and we were trying to build, he got excited, and he was interested in coming to our church as an assistant pastor to Father Mikhailo, and he came on. Our church at around that time also started to grow, and we always knew that there were Ukrainians out in the northwest suburbs, but they weren't necessarily coming to our church because we were too small. It's too small of a building. And so we started to raise more money. We started to get a lot of traction, but each time something would happen financially that made it difficult. COVID happened. We started building. And so we needed to get the financing at the end. And we didn't even get our inspection done for our church until the day before, get past inspection for us to have the liturgy the next day. But each time we had faith, and each time somehow money came through or something happened that helped us push along to where we are today. As I mentioned, next time I'll let you know what's going on with our church. But it was God's grace that we built that church, and we know now for why it was built and why the timing was done the way it was done. Дякую.
Дякую вам. Thank you very much. Okay, St. Mary's Assumption in Missouri.
Yes, hello. Father Eugene Logos already speak up, but I will take just 1 minute.
That's what I thought. I'm sorry. So, unfortunately, we're really short on time. So Father Deacon Eugene has spoken on your behalf, so thank you. Okay, дякую дуже. All right, Nativity in Palos Park. Do we have you?
Here back. So our church, initially we started up in the back of the yard. in Chicago. And in 91, Bishop Innocent allowed us to start building our church and broke our grounds. In 93, we actually relocated. And in 2016, our parish was getting smaller due to population and the youth not staying with the church. Through prayer and through our prayer groups and organizations, God brought the ability for our parish to grow and to keep the church alive, which allows now for the attendance to grow and the income to get bigger. At this rate, we are blessed to have everything that we've had, and that is the history of the past. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Okay, so everybody who I still see who has their video on has gone, except for, oh, excuse me, sorry, Hawaii. We saw you there, Mr. Dunn. So, we will sing some Don Ho for you, and but your 3 minutes begin now.
Great, thank you. So we were started in 1975 by the Very Reverend Archimandrite Jules Riot. We affectionately call him Papa. We were originally at St. Anthony Roman Catholic Church in Kalihi. That's where he was living. Then we moved to the Damien Memorial Chapel within the Damien Memorial School. Originally, we were under the jurisdiction of the Byzantine Catholic Eparchy of Pittsburgh, but then in 1992, we came under the jurisdiction of St. Nicholas Eparchy with the ordination of Father Phil Harmon, and then the ordination of Father Deacon, then later Father Tom Merrick. From there, we moved to Waianae, the St. Sophia Chapel in the Kahumana compound. There was a core of 25 to 30 of us originally. From there, with Father Phil's retirement, Father Tom moving to the mainland to be close to the family. We moved over to Holy Trinity. There, Bishop Richard made the Reverend Hal Widener, who was an Oratorian priest by ritual faculties. So from 2005 to 2007, we were there with him. And then from 2007 to 2011, we just were serviced by visiting priests, and we ceased in 2011. Just like our clergy, the death of members in the parish, others moving back to the mainland to be closer to the family, military transfers, we have a large military population, divorces, they all significant events for our small community. And then we were reopened as a mission in November 2022 by Bishop Benedict, and that's where we are right now. And we are right now currently back in St. Sophia and Waianae. Thank you. You're muted.
Okay. So thank you very much. Sorry. A little bit of confusion here. Okay, so I do not see anybody on my screen who has their video turned on and is identified as a parish other than my home parish, Saints Volodymyr and Olga. So I am turning it over to right here, and this I am, unless I am mistaken, this will be our last parish presentation of the day.
Slava Isusu Christu, glory to Jesus Christ. I will be speaking in Ukrainian. I will be speaking also in English. I was volunteered to give this presentation here. My name is Bogdan Bodnar. I'm the Chief Finance Officer of the parish. Okay. First, we had I'll speak what we used to have and then get back to roughly what we are at now. We had a very full and robust liturgical schedule with seminarians who lived very close to the parish. They assisted in liturgies, they assisted with youth activities, they assisted with things like choirs and so forth. Ми колись мали дуже активне літургічне життя із допомогою семінаристів, котрі жили тут дуже близько до парафії. Вони допомагали із літургією, допомагали із роботою з молоддю, допомагали із хором. The parish felt at one time like a large family where everybody cared about each other. We also had several non-Ukrainian people who showed up. For example, Federal Senator Paul Simon, when not attending his work in Washington, D.C., would attend Divine Liturgy in our parish. He and his wife would sit in the back pew, which usually was packed, and he stated that this was his home away from home. We had Chicago mayors Daley, son and father, Sawyer, Washington, and Balandik were honored guests at several Ukrainian functions here. Парафія почувалася колись як одна велика родина. Тут не тільки були українці, але були також не українці. Наприклад, федеральний сенатор Пол Саймон, коли не був у Вашингтоні або у Чикаго, був на наших святих літургіях із своєю дружиною. Між іншим, у той час лавки були переповнені. Він казав, що наша парафія – це є його хата поза хатою. Йому було дуже приємно тут бути. Чикагські посадники, або мер, як тепер називають у Старому краю, Дейлі, тато і син, Сойер, Вашингтон та Белендик, часто були гістьми у нашій парафії. То вже нема. Ми не маємо контактів із тими політичними колами. We no longer have the contacts with all these political entities. Let's see. We need to rediscover the level of personal contact. It was a lot higher at one time. Нам треба відновити особисті стосунки. Колись, як треба було якусь роботу, проголосили, і люди зголосилися. At one time, we needed some work done, a proclamation was made, we need some assistance, and people volunteered. This is no longer the case, or it's rarely the case. And there used to be a lot of youth activities. We had an active brotherhood, Borisa and Liba, whose target was college students. We had an active sisterhood. We had a theatrical group. We no longer have this. Нам треба більше, ми колись мали багато більше роботи із молоддю. Наприклад, ми мали сестрицтво Бориса і Гліба. Їхня мета була виховувати студентів в університетах. Ми мали сестрицтво, де було багато молоді. Ми мали театральну групу. Таких речей ми вже не маємо. With this, I conclude. Am I within 3 minutes? Perfect. Thank you.
So, yeah, so a lot of what we had in the past and what we no longer have, but in other places, stuff that was things that were not in the past that now our parishes do have. So unless we have missed somebody, I believe that concludes our first session of our Eparchial Sobor. Quick reminder, session number 2, the session on our parishes today is Saturday, November 4th, once again at 12 noon Central Time. Zoom link to be provided. Владико, чи є у вас якісь коментарі на закриття сьогодні?
Oh, no, I don't have anything. No, thank you.
Okay, so let's conclude with a prayer. Достойно є воістину величати блаженною тебе, Богородицю, присно блаженну і пренепорочну, і матір Бога нашого, чеснішу від херувимів, і незрівняно славнішу від серафимів, що без отління Бога слава породила сущу Богородицю, тебе величаємо. Слава Отцю і Сину і Святому Духові, і нині повсякчас, і на віки віків. Амінь. Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, преосвященний владико, благослови.
God bless all of us now and forever and ever.
Амінь. І сполеті Деспота. Щиро всім дякую. Thank you, everybody. До зустрічі in a few weeks at our second session. Слава Ісусу
Thank you very
Христу.
much for
Glory to Jesus
everybody.
Christ.
See you later. God bless all of you.